Hello. So this week we're basically going to be taking on delete state. During the practice over the past few weeks, we have been using delete statement one way or the other. You've been interacting with your tables, taking one record at a time. So today you might be taking more than 50 records out during practice, but ensure to have your insert statement in place. So when you knock out your data, you can basically throw them back in as well. So delete statement. Uh, with a basic introduction is a command to remove rows from a table. You know, you can also delete all rows or only rows that match a condition. Okay, so let's walk through the slides. So today again, we're going to be taking on subquery. Subquery was a topic we took during one of our practice class, maybe on Wednesday. So we're going to be walking through that as well. So I'll just be going through that briefly for those of you who were in class and needed some better understanding. So I'll go through that briefly as well. Then we're also going to walk through some classwork as well. So let's get started. All right. So we're going to be talking about uh, the delete statement and how we use it and how we basically apply some conditions to when we want to delete. So after then, we're going to run through some conclusions as well. Like I mentioned earlier, the delete statement is a command to remove rows from a table. And we can also utilize the delete statement to delete all rows or certain rows that match a condition. Okay. The idea about the delete is, you know, being able to like delete data from your table name or clear all data without removing the table itself. Delete, the delete clause is different from the drop clause. Okay, the drop would drop the table, like take out the table, that's the drop. Delete would remove records from your table, the rows. Okay, so so let's take a look at this. To delete all the data from the table, but not the table itself, we use a query with a delete from statement. For example, let's delete all the information from the following table titled books. We know the column name is title, and we'll have the author, we'll have the quantity here. So what do? This is a very simple query. If we state delete from books, if we run the select execution after running this, we'll notice that the table is empty. All right. So this is one of those. Let's look for let's take anybody's table. Let's delete somebody's table, and then we hope the person brings back the table. So let's do that. Let's do that. It's interesting to just basically just pull up somebody's table, then delete the table. So who's Osina? Hmm. I saw a table called Osina just now. Osina. Let's see what this table looks like. Really? Interesting. Mm. All right. So I picked a table and I'm going to do justice to this table. All right. So if you own that table, put a message in the chat. Yes, the reason why I chose that table is because the table does not follow the regular naming convention. So if you're basically building a table, I want to see the title of your table, users underscore, or if we're basically working on the kitchen or an order, want to have the order name with the with your username. All right. So as usual, I basically like to create a file, which is today 031420025.sql. Then in my row one, I basically will have the database name, which basically going to give me access to that data. All right. And if you need to delete a table, you want to inspect the table before you run your deletion. Okay. See, we have this Osina table. I would basically just want to query the table and see what the table looks like. Okay. So I can do a limit one. This way, I just have an idea of what the table looks like. Hmm. Okay. All right. So I have a table looks like this, and I can basically delete from this table. So the delete statement basically is like you've seen what you need, and I can easily state a condition as well. Just delete. When we run this, it will clean out all the records from this table. It will clean out all the records from this table. But if we set that where people ID equal to one, it would delete where people ID equal to one. Okay. All right. I want to do something real quick. Oh yeah. So again, in the weeks to come or in the coming week, we are going to be utilizing the SQL Workbench. Right. I want to play a trick on this. All right. I'm gonna pull the Osina table. Okay, here we go. All right. I wanted to generate the insert statement automatically, but I think I have another idea of what we can do. So we can have multiple tables. Let me do this create table. Nah, yeah, so we can do it twice. So I don't have a create table user delete like select from Osina. So let's see what that brings. Practice subquery go. What happened? Let's see what's going on. Select all from user underscore delete. So basically this statement should clone Osina table. So I don't offend the user. Let's see what we got. The table was created. Table was created, but no data dropped in. Okay, it's okay. So we can say insert into user underscore delete, select all from Osina. Those are different ways we clone tables. So if I do this, I should have that record in there. What happened? So
Hello, coach.
yes, go ahead.
Can you increase your fonts, please?
Oh, okay. So the essence of this is we want to make sure that we have a table to practice off and on that delete. So you guys can use the delete table as well to do your practice. Let's see what we got now. Why? So who took out the records from Osina? Who deleted the table Osina?
I thought you set up something to manage it, the event, so you can know who deleted it.
No worries. I'm going to take all the table access from everybody. So you guys go back to your drawing board. Similarly, let's try to do this from a different instance. So we have added records to user delete. And we're going to do all those queries from user delete. So user delete is a clone of the users only table right now. So this is a clone.
Reduce your volume. No, yeah, because I know heavy. Reduce your volume. What's wrong with you now?
So the users only table is now a clone of user delete is now a clone of the users only table.
Sorry.
All right.
Scotch, you know when you said on line 2, when you said delete from.
So we're going to basically
Sorry, Kochi.
sorry, this class is being recorded. Can you please be respectful? Let's take it one step at a time. So we have basically cloned users only. We were trying to use Osina, but the person that owned this table dropped that table. And I'm going to drop this table as well.
Sorry,
So,
Coach. I wrote something on the chat.
yes, let's try to do this. Just let's be respectful. Let's just close this out. We're just on page 2 of this. Okay. No worries. No worries. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal. All right. So let's take a look at this, right? So you see that if we select this, user delete, let's inspect the table. You know, when you want to delete something, very important, right? Very important, we inspect the table. You know, you want to see what the table looks like. Say, for example, we do a limit 1. Let's see what the table looks like, and then we are going to kick it off. We have a all right, all right, all right. I'll get to that part, okay? I'll get to that part, Austin. Just so we want to delete a table, right? We want to delete some records from the table. So the first thing you need to do is you need to inspect the table. Just inspect the table. Okay. User ID is 1, and then you take a look at the IDs as well. You know, you want to go check the kind of values you want to delete. You say you want to check the extent, user ID. The extent user ID. All right. You know, you wanna delete some records from here. You know, you just have to apply some sense. You see, you can see the IDs range from 1 to like 960, right? If I want to delete records from say 521 to 960, I can just say delete this where, you know, a lot of guys here know where user ID is greater than 500, right? Right? So if we now do this, you want to, before you apply your delete statement, you want to make sure that you have an idea of what you're trying to delete, what your statement would do, right? So now I basically just checked, you see, user ID. So anything that is going off, once I drop that table or once I delete these rows, all these values will go. See, I already have an idea of what I want to delete. So if I now go in here and then apply my delete, so that's why delete is very, very important. You have to be careful when you run that. You see, first thing first I did was inspect my table. All right. So you see, I inspected my table. I know what I want to delete, and I can basically go ahead and do that. But while doing that, let me clear this so I don't go into a limbo again. So if I run this, I have deleted 99 records. So you can see how it's dangerous and you have to be very, very careful. All right. So now take a look at this. So if I come on here and I need to see those records that has been deleted, you can same query, the same query that you use in running your select, the same condition can be used to pull that. You can see those records are no more. They're gone. So now imagine if I do this. If I do this, that's how dangerous it could be. That was the reason why I thought it wise not to play with Osina table. That the best I could do is clone it and then run it. So now let's take a look at this. If you do delete from user delete, it takes out everybody. takes out everybody from that table. So if we come back here, if we do this, nobody left, no record left. Delete all the records, all the rows from that table. But that table is still exists. Okay, well, the good thing is we have got a backup. We have got a backup. So how do we get the backup in? The backup is, at first we did a create to clone this table. Now, for us to back that table back up, to return it back, I didn't want to show you guys this because this is a shortcut to do create and insert. So I do this. So if I do this, I'm basically bringing that table back to life. So it's very, very important you have this. See, I put the table back in there, everything the way it is. So now if I take this, once I take these records, once I do select where greater, remember that was the first thing we deleted. We have all these records. Voila, it's back up again. So if you lock this one and then you run this, you have all your records back. Okay, delete is a very, very dangerous thing. So guys, that's why I thought about it, like, okay, how do I kind of explain this so you don't get lost and you understand how critical it is to make sure that you have your insert statement, your backup statement. So you can see that I basically cloned the table to do this. So when you're about to do your own practice, I want you to clone your table, and practice your delete. I don't want to hear stories that touch the heart. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. All right. So you guys basically saw the practical aspect of deleting a table and what it is when we delete from table name itself without specifying a condition. So basically, we have applied this where we deleted records from a table by applying a condition. So can somebody tell me what happens when we say delete from books where quantity equal to 0? Can you just one at a time? What will happen when we do this? Delete from books where quantity equals 0?
Nothing will be deleted.
No.
Okay.
Next.
We will delete the first row.
What row is that?
The one that has the gambler.
Correct. Correct. Where quantity equal to 0, it will delete this row. You say the condition is where quantity equal to 0. All right? Because
Sorry, Coach.
quantity equals to 0 is true. Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about the table. I didn't know we're talking about this. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. No worries. So with that understanding, I will have to go back to the table and then we begin to do some work. So I would call random names. So please make sure your mic is clear, so we can do this. So I will call out Omo, Miss Omo. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm
So
good.
yes. So now if I intend to delete records between 600 and 700, how do I do that from user delete?
We use the clause where.
Where? Okay.
Yeah. Where user ID greater than between, you said between what?
600 and 700?
where user ID is equals to 500 equal.
No. So basically, what's the first thing you do? Do you inspect your tables to see if those records actually exist?
Oh, yes, that is the first thing to do.
That's the
We'll
first
run
thing
the,
to do.
yeah, we'll run the table to see.
We'll run the table. Okay, so at that point, so we need to delete where, let me unlock this, and then so we can talk about the conditions where user ID between 600 and 700.
Yeah, isn't that word, please? No.
So we expect to knock out this. So before we do that, actually, we run a query to see if that does exist. There is no data between 600 and 500 and 700. So what do? We need to infer and see, okay, what's actually happening? Okay. So what do we do? Do we do a distinct user ID to see what's going on in there?
Yes,
To look for
coach.
those figures?
Yes.
So these are the user IDs. Okay. So so you can see we have 509, and then what happened? It jumped from 546 to 908. Does that make sense? Yes, no.
Yes.
Well, we
Yeah,
have no data.
but at the same time, we also use delete from the table name.
No, you want to inspect. You inspect first, right?
Yeah.
We had to inspect. The data was not there.
Yeah.
The data
Because
was not there. What we did, we inspected. Okay,
Yeah.
now if you want to verify that, okay, we go back to the table that we basically cloned. All right. Remember the table we cloned? We cloned this table, right? So you want to distinct users from Ollie, and then you begin to her table is now well ordered. So you have to order that, okay? Order by user ID. All right. So if you take a look at this, you see from 500, there was a jump. Can you see that? From 546, there was a jump. So it's basically the record does not exist. So when you have a record to delete, it's wise that you basically inspect that record. You inspect before you delete. Okay. All right. Very, very important. Okay. Deleting a table can cost you your job. All right. So I want to jump to Austin. When you delete using ID equals to 1 and don't include toe end, want to delete all the records from ID 1, leaving no records. Okay. Let's do that, Austin. So Austin was saying when you delete from ID equal to 1. So let's look up the record ID equal to 1, Austin. So let's select all. Need to take out this table. You have to be very careful. Make sure you're pointing to the right target. So where user ID equals to 1, okay? That's the target. All right, Austin, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I'm trying to respond to your question in the chat. All right. You were asking if we delete where ID equal to 1, if it will affect other records. Yes? No?
No, what I was saying is, you were asking a question, who deleted that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was checking it, and I realized that when you deleted, you said from ID equals to 1. So since you said from ID equals to 1, you didn't close it, which means you didn't bound it. So that command deleted everything.
No, I didn't run the command.
Oh, you didn't run it. I'm sorry. I apologize, sir. I thought you
No.
ran the command. I apologize.
No, I didn't run the command. So I was if I run this command, it will only delete the first record, right? So it will only delete the first record. So the first thing I said was, if you do this only, it will wipe out all the entire records from that table. So, and one reason I thought about something like, if I delete that record, if I delete that table, it would not be nice for the user to go back in there, because I noticed the table basically was looking at a community meeting. What they owe, they owe now that. So I said, oh, let me clone that table. So I cloned the table. I checked, it was blank. I like, okay, what could be wrong? I decided to, my head was spinning here and there, like, what could be happening? So basically that's what you do when you're trying to do some analytic as well. You wanna put your mind at a pace, just be inquisitive about stuff. Then nothing is coming up, then you know that you want to check the target table. Okay, so when we try to create a table from this statement, this is a target, right? And this is a destination. So this one is saying that all the records from this table, put it here. Put it here. So, and after that, we will do all that whole stuff. After running all the operations, we can just go back in there and say, okay, all the records from this table, insert it into this, that exercise will run. All right. Lady D, how do we clone? I just explained how we clone using create. We use create to clone. And when we use like will basically create the table as well. It will create the schema, but it won't add the records. But as would clone the table. This keyword as. Create table user as this. The same way we do all those alias. All right, so let's do something. So on your part as well. So when you're practicing the delete using the user delete, I want everyone to partake in it and just drop one record. Just pick any user ID and drop. Don't do delete from. All right? Don't do delete from. All right? Don't do delete from the main table without any condition. You want to specify a condition when you do your delete. Okay? So you're free to do some deletion on user delete. All right, so let's see what we got.
Sorry, coach. If I may understand what you're saying, do you say we should delete one table, or do we clone?
Okay, so if you're practicing, you can clone, right? You clone your table. Say, for example, you wanna clone you want to practice your delete, right? Rather than doing that, I just suggest you guys should just use the user delete table to practice. Okay? Rather than creating user delete, we're gonna have a lot of tables. We're gonna have a lot of tables, and it's gonna be difficult to track that. Okay, so if you do user delete, like your name, it's gonna be a lot. So you guys use this user delete table to practice. You have this select all from user delete, and then just say where user ID, but inspect the user ID you wanna delete. Make sure the user ID is in the table. So when you're on your delete statement, you go back in there and check. Okay, I took it out. Okay, you get what I'm saying? So you can practice a lot of stuff, but we'll get there. Let's quickly run through the presentation real quick. So the delete statement is a very interesting topic. It doesn't hold too much, So now let's see. So yes, we jumped to the conclusion. That was super fast. It took 45 minutes. So basically, in this lesson, we basically we've gone through delete statement, and we've basically gone through how we can delete the whole rows and how we can use a condition to delete data as well. So we want to make sure that we understand what we're doing, and then we can basically do some practice. But while we practice, I want you guys to utilize the user delete. Okay, so two things that you guys noticed during the practice. Hey, somebody's hands raised. Who's that person?
It's me. Sorry, coach.
Go ahead.
I was gonna suggest, isn't it better to assign everybody username? So if I'm running it, assuming if, for example, maybe I'm using a specific user and Austin is using the same user.
It's fine.
And we both
No
won't know
worries.
if it's working.
No worries. No worries.
Okay.
The idea is what I've just explained is you want to inspect the table. Okay, we have more than enough cookie on that table, right? We have 316 records, right? If you take one randomly, so
Okay.
you go to that table. Okay, I would know if you go to that table, right? If you go to that table, you do your distinct user ID and you pick an ID to delete, right? So it means that everyone has now learned how to do distinct user ID to inspect. So I want you to inspect, look for a number, delete that number.
Okay.
And then if you do not see any action being done, it means that somebody else took it. So you need to make sure that you get it. Inspect, check your table, check your numbers. You see that number's on there. If the number is not there, it means that you have not done anything. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Everybody?
Thank you very much.
That makes sense. So yeah, so two things. Let's take this takeaway, okay? So for you to do delete, it's cool to practice in a test environment. You noticed what I did was just basic practice. It's a standard. Just like, I said, oh no, I wanted to use the Osinator. I said, no, I'd rather create a backup. It's always cool to have a backup, but somebody went in there and fired it up. Okay, so most likely the owner, Chimeze, has a backup table or has the insert statement. All right, so the most important thing here is always have a backup. And the other thing is you need to make sure that your conditions is correct. Use your conditions wisely. Test them. You want to delete a record where equal to 2. You want to run it and say, okay, does this data exist? Similarly, just like me saying, I want to delete, select all from user delete where user ID equal to 1. Then on here, I'm saying here, this query is saying delete from user delete where user ID, you can see I'm verifying it. Where user ID equal to 1. All right, you can see this query, you can see the logical expression here, and this, they are the same. So when I run this, say for example, I run this, that's if somebody has not taken it out. You can see this is it, right? And this is where user ID equal to 1, right? That is my expression. Okay, so and if I run this, you see, I know what I intend to delete. I intend to delete this where user ID equal to 1. And this is my test case to verify that I have deleted this. So if I run this, I have deleted, you will see affected rows equal to 1. All right. You will note that. Okay. So now see, I need to test, did I actually delete that record? If I run this, I should see no data because I've taken it out. You see, I'm being careful. Okay, I'm being careful. And also, we also need to be very, very careful to use consider some transaction safety, like begin transaction, commit, rollback, if the deletion is critical. All right? That's cool. All right, so let's get some practice in. Let's get some practice in. Let's begin to see you do some delete. So for the remainder of the class, basically, I want you guys to go through the table and then look through the distinct use cases, and then basically try to delete them using your like statement, or you are relatively pointing at them as well. Inspector table, be careful of be careful before you delete, which is very, very important. Like I said, if need be, take a backup if need be. All right. Thank you so much.